Hello and welcome back to the channel. Um, Today I'll be discussing a stock which is considered a taboo in India, a stock to do with alcohol, an alcoholic brand. The brand is called Sula, and I was just going through some of the big stocks within globally, what is happening in a neighboring country, and how within China, one of the stocks called Mou Tai, which is this Kaichu Mou Tai, historically since 2001 has given a return of 22,000%. That is a 26% around a 26% CAGR. So every $1 invested in this stock, or every $1 million for scale, if we consider invested in this stock, is currently equivalent to 128, more than 128 times. So over a period of 21 years, a 26% CAGR gives a 128 multiple. So one becomes 128, but this has given more than that. So Mao Tai really has been embedded culturally within the culture of China, and it has a very high value in terms of. So the way it is um, treated there is during celebrations, and even during when it's given as a bribe to army personnels and considered a status symbol. Mao Tai. Sula is not in the same category, obviously, but would really like to discuss Sula, and let's see if the share does have value or it doesn't. So Sula really is one of the market leaders with close to 60% market share in premium wines. Wine consumption in India, it has been growing. The penetration is obviously very low, but let's see. I think this segment in particular, um, which is focused more towards the premiumization, and it doesn't only have the wine segment as a segment within its portfolio, but it also has a wine tourism within the city of Nasik. It does have wine tourism, and it also does something called the Sula Fest, which has concerts and artists performing from all across the country, and some global artists as well. And it also has so wine cellar tours and those kind of things. So the business as such is operating at a margin of close to 15 to 16% net. So both for FY24 and FY23. And it sells one of India's best-selling red, white, rose, and sparkling wines. Sula Shiraz Cabernet is India's largest selling wine by value. And it's sourcing from 2,600 plus acres of vineyards. So the way Sula really started was the founder was in the US, and he saw a lot of similarities for Nasik as a wine producing state compared to Napa Valley in California. And that's when it struck him that yeah, this could be made a business out of. And here they are all listed and doing really great in terms of 500 crore worth of revenue annually, and a 16% profit after tax margin on that. Sula also has one of the world's most visited vineyards with close to 435,000 visitors, um, winery capacity of 16.7 million liters. Yeah. So if you look at the brand profile and as to what are some of the like segments it's selling at, so a 950 rupees bottle is considered elite within India, and then we move lower in the lower range into premium economy and popular, which are more lower priced. But if you see here, they have like wines within the Sula brand, within Sula brand name, and then um, other brands. So within the Sula brand, they have presence only in elite and premium, but not in economy and popular. And I think moving ahead, they will move more towards premiumization. And as we've seen, stocks within the consumption sector, which have catered to the premium segment, are able to drive more revenues through it. So 70% of Sula's revenue is really through the premium segment, and 26. So how we know about the 80-20 rule, that um, 80% of the revenue is coming from really the 20% segment. I don't know whether this premium segment is premium or elite segment is really the 20%, but what we know is that 74% of the revenues is really coming from the premium segment, and 26% is coming from the other segment. So we'll quickly go through the numbers once, in terms of what the brand is. And so they have popular brands like Rasa Dindori and Satori Madeira and Dia. Um, so the production of wine, the import of wines, and the distribution of wines is what they are primarily involved in. That's what the business segment is about. But they also have sale of services from ownership and operation of wine tourism. And as we discussed, some of the brands and the range that they sell at. Um, the revenue bifurcation for FY22 was 69% was coming from own brands, 84% was coming from own brands in FY22, and 69% in FY20. So these are old numbers. But if we do see the investor presentation and we see the breakup of that, so here if you see FY24 revenue breakup, so 75% is coming from the elite and premium, and around 25% is coming from the economy and popular. And that's how it's broken up, and it's stayed pretty much consistent. So the Q4 numbers are really a mirror image of what the whole FY24 number is. 75-25 is a split that is there for Sula, and 75% is elite and premium, and 24 is economy and popular. So here, as we see here as well, 74-26% even for H1 half year FY24. The company has a 60% value market share, as we saw. And in terms of geographical presence, it's present in 25 states and 6 union territories in India, and has also entered overseas markets, Spain, France, Japan. And as you've seen, I think some of the other brands like Amrut and those whiskey brands, how they have consistently being named as one of the best whiskeys around the world. I think Indian entrepreneurs are really beginning to take heed of that. One of the Indian brands in the taboo sector, like really, it's considered a taboo in India. Can be one of the best in the world. They are producing it, they're selling it across the world, they're selling it in India, and being one of the best, coming out among the top ranks. So the wine tourism business, which is in the Gangapur Lake, in and around the Gangapur Lake in Nasik, had a huge footfall and has one of the biggest footfalls in the world. So also, as shareholders, we also need to be aware about not only all the positive aspects, but some of the aspects which may impact the company as such. And as we can see, there are outstanding legal proceedings involving the company, promoters and director. The aggregate amount is 125 crore. And I think shareholders should really focus also on the negative aspects and be able to invert and be able to say that what could go wrong, and then work backwards and then take a call. Yeah, that this might be one of within the portfolio, whether this deserves a 2% or a 1% or a 0%, or if you like it so much, then it can also go up to 15% or 20%. But it really depends on it really depends on the confidence, and I really believe that knowledge and fear are inversely proportional. The more knowledge you have about a particular business, the less fearful you will be. And as we've seen consistently, how within Berkshire Hathaway, um, Warren Buffett has been able to allocate 43 to 44% of people's money into the Apple stock, and he's done quite well in that. So a lot of people might say that it may be due to insider trading and this and that, but one of the very famous investors, he said that if you have the ability to meet the CEO before making an investment, don't do it, because they are the CEO, because they are the best salesman. So if you meet them, they'll be able to sell the business to you, and you can go ahead and invest. But I think investing with a very objective mindset, by looking at what has been there in the public disclosure, and a lot of investors are able to do it, are able to go through the public disclosure and not really visit the sites or the factories, or where the tractors are churning, or where how much the machine is rotating by, and how much is the volume case being produced by. So getting on into all the nitty-gritty. So the numbers are truly reflective of what the business performance is going to be, and sometimes it's better off to just be objective about the numbers and what the management is saying. So in terms of market cap, it's at a market cap of 5,000 crores, so it's not a huge market cap, and I really don't like the companies which have a market cap of 12 lakh crore, because as I mentioned earlier as well, for your money to double, so for example, if TCS is operating at a market cap of 12 lakh crore, for your money to double, that 12 lakh crore needs to move to 24 lakh crore. But here Sula Vineyards is available at 4,236. Now this is not the only criteria, but yeah, this is something which I personally look at. What's the size of the company and how much is the headroom for the company to go, because as retail investors we ought to be looking more at generating value. We are not wealth preservation and wealth creation, I think, are two different things, and I really believe like wealth creation can be done with stocks with a little bit more lower market cap, but I'm also saying that it also needs to be high quality. So those are rare stocks to find, and also the allocation percentage within the portfolio then begins to depend. So here we see a stock PE of close to 45, and we see a ROCE greater than a ROE number, which indicates that the utilization of debt has been happening at a good rate, and um, it's been happening optimally. And also, if you were an investor and you were thinking that it's generating a return on equity of 16.7%, and what is really the opportunity cost? So if the business is generating and compounding at 16.7%, those are good signs, because outside, if you see, people may say that cryptocurrency is giving much more than that, but we need to be looking at something which has inherent value, underlying value. So gold, a lot of people say that gold is a hedge against stock, but I beg to differ, because the prices of gold, whether it'll go higher or lower, is not plunged on any intrinsic value. We do not know why the gold prices are going higher or lower. There is no underlying pegged factor or a pegged value because of which it's going higher or lower. And similar reason for cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency, really, Charlie Munger defined it appropriately as rat poison. And I would agree with him, because what is the underlying value? If you bought a bunch of Ethereum and it did go up, um, can you allocate more? Would you know that, yeah, this is Ethereum and it has gone up, so I will be willing to allocate um, 20 lakhs more, 10 lakhs more? Will you be able to say that, yeah, this has happened because of this, and hence logically I should be allocating more? I think no, and hence I tend to stay away, but people have their own personal opinion about this. The pledge percentage really becomes crucial to look at. Pledge percentage being how much of the shares the owners have um, girvi. So basically girvi, how much of it do they have it with the bank to raise loans and those kind of things. So promoter holding is around 26.2%. FIIs have been decreasing their stake, but a lot of times I don't take these FIIs very seriously, because the pattern that they operate with, that put money here, put money there, and exit from here, exit from there. I'm not that kind of investor. I'm not a believer in constant churning of portfolio. I think the churning should be gradual, but the sell decision should be taken very seriously, because if you have not done your research while buying the stock, then uh, you tend to sell quicker. But if you've really been diligent about uh, looking at the stock, looking at the value, and then going into the stock, so you should always question that a quarter number dip here and there, does it warrant a sell decision? Because I think it needs to be used very rarely. The sell decision needs to be used very rarely, and it should be used with a lot of caution, a lot of questioning with that. What has changed since the time I thought of buying it? Or what further information that have I incorporated into my assessment to be swinging between buy and sell within a matter of 4 months or 5 months or 6 months? So here, if you see, I think Sula Vineyards, in terms of the price, from when it first IPO'd, I think the price has been within a particular range. It has not. So the other stocks, the way they have performed, it hasn't gone high as high as some of the other stocks. The way they have performed. The PE also has been on the higher side, so in the range of 65, and currently, so here if you see that this has been in the range bound. It had reached close to 60 PE, and then now it is at a PE of close to 45. And here within the EPS has been quite consistent. There hasn't been any EPS growth as such, but um, really need to look at the future horizon, what the future horizon entails. If this company has a market share of 60%, the question is, will this company sustain to have that market share? Will there be other players? Are there enough barrier to entry? The facilities that they have set up in Nasik, how many years has it taken to build? The aging of wine is a big factor. So any player that comes in and starts making its own wine, it'll take close to 6, 7 years, 8 years. I think I don't exactly know how much time does it take to age a wine, but I do know that there are cellars which have um, aging of wine for 30, 40 years and 50 years sometimes. So really, if any new entrant comes in, by the time it ages its wine and um, has has enough capacity to go out into selling, Sula would be way ahead in terms of quickly moving and taking um, notice of its competitors and how its competition is really beginning to creep in and eat into its portfolio. So this 60%, we'll need to watch out as to how the 60% is moving and what percentage more of the premium segment is coming. My gut feel is that the premium segment will grow. The 1,000 rupees, I think, is grossly underpriced in terms of where some of the other liquor sell in terms of the whiskeys and everything, blue and black, whatever it is, and so um, even at 1,000, it is kind of underpriced, and even then, it's doing a margin of 15%. So even if you assume inflation close to 4 to 5%, and that 1,000 being bumped up to 1,500 or 2,000, the real test really comes as a shareholder is, with the increase in price, lead to reduction in volumes, or would it not lead to reduction in volumes? When Warren Buffett had invested in See's Candy, he paid $25 million for See's Candy, and he made much more than that. But he did bump up the prices of See's Candy in a particular period, and he did notice that the increase in price had little to no impact on its volume, and that shows the brand superiority. So I think shareholders really need to be in brands which are able to pass on inflation and those kind of things, all the macroeconomic factors that economists spend 10 hours on TV channel discussing. And a brand which is able to pass it on to its consumers and consistently pass it on without a dip in volumes is a superior brand. Now, the question is Sula the superior brand? I do not have the answer right now. Neither am I too impressed with, I think, the numbers and those kind of things. But sort of stock recommendation, I just brought it out for you to research and have a look at it, and then make your own calls. So if you look at the competitor PE here, if you see the PE is at 44, and some of the United Spirits and United Breweries and Radico Khaitan and Allied Blenders and all, they are operating at a PE of 100 plus, and United Spirits is operating at 65. So reasonably priced in terms of where it is, with a scope to go for higher further pricing. Whether that would lead to dip in volumes and how the consumption pattern in India changes and how the increase in disposable income within India leads to more demand for such a product is to be seen. But there definitely can be a use case. Um, so I think I'll close it here. That's it from my side. Do let me know in the comment section any other company that you would want me to look at. Thank you. Goodbye and have a great day ahead.